Yo, what's going on, everybody? It's your boy Naruto Explain here, bringing you guys another Boruto 2 Blue Vortex discussion. Today, I want to talk to you guys about something rather interesting that got shown to us at the end of the last manga chapter, which is that Shikamaru has been made aware of the fact that Amado was lying the entire time, and that he's known that Kawaki isn't the son of Naruto, and that everyone's memories have been altered by the Omnipotence, and Sai states that he wants to know what Shikamaru wants to do based off of the intel that they've been given. This has led to a question popping back up that so many of you guys have been asking me down in the comment section and in DMs on Twitter, Patreon, and Instagram, which is the question of whether or not Shikamaru has been aware of the truth the entire time. From the very start of Boruto's time skip, better known as Boruto 2 Blue Vortex, there have been at least 100 DMs from people writing to me why they think that Shikamaru has basically been working Sarada and Sumire by not revealing that he suspected that his memories were altered this entire time. You guys know my stance. I've said before that while I don't discount this as being a possibility, I do think that he was affected by Omnipotence nonetheless. I don't think he was immune to it. I think that it's just like what Amado just told us in this new chapter, that he knows his memories have been altered, but Amado chose not to disclose that he saw a set of facts that leads him to this conclusion, similar to how Sasuke was still second guessing himself despite seeing the scar on his eye, his headband in Boruto's possession, and sensing Momoshiki inside of Boruto. Sasuke was still freaking out that he couldn't trust his memories and wasn't sure if he was making a mistake by working with Boruto, but that he was trusting his own daughter who believed in Boruto. Amado was trusting his own science. But what about Shikamaru? I've said for the last couple months now, I think it's most likely Shikamaru was affected by Omnipotence, but that there's going to be a way for him to figure out the truth. So this is where that gets interesting. It's the thing that Shikamaru is about to begin trusting is his own logic and his own skepticism. I don't think that we can discount that as a possibility, because just in this chapter, we had Sarada and Sumire spoon feeding us the fact that overcoming Omnipotence is exactly what Eida told Sarada and Sumire in chapter 1 of Boruto 2 Blue Vortex. You don't try to force people to believe that their minds have been altered, because you'll just make them think that you're the crazy one who's had their mind altered. You don't show them a photo of baby Boruto and say, hey, why is baby Boruto being held by Naruto and not baby Kawaki? Because the Omnipotence will just make them go, well, that's weird, but Kawaki's still Naruto's son. Why is Boruto's name on the academy roster and not Kawaki? Well, that's weird. Well, Boruto is still the cyborg experimented on by Kar, and Kawaki is still Naruto's son. I go over extensively in Omnipotence Explained if you want more details. Eida specifically said you have to focus on bringing new experiences to people to let them come to their own conclusions, because it's easier to drop breadcrumbs and let people come to their own conclusion than it is for you to try directly changing their mind. In the new chapter, Sarada is at first stunned that Amado says that even though he knew he was affected by Omnipotence and that his memory had been tampered with, because he's seen enough proof suggesting the fact that all this had happened, he's just choosing to willingly suppress his memories actively. At first saw it as like, man, this is impossible, pointing out something that I've explained to you guys ever since Omnipotence has been casted. Sarada specifically uses that, hey, if they see a photo of Boruto and Naruto, they're still going to say Kawaki is Naruto's son. But Sarada saw an exception based off of her own anecdotal evidence, where she knows that people can do exactly what Eida said, which is instead of trying to convince them their memories are wrong, they just accept, hey, my memory's been tampered with, and they go about life knowing that their memories are not correct, and they just act on the knowledge in their mind not being trustworthy anymore, and they suppress what feelings that they have. Is it possible that Shikamaru is acting in a similar way as Sasuke? Perhaps. During this 3-year time skip, things played out exactly the way that Sarada told us, which is that Shikamaru at first was one of the people open to questioning things like, hey, why isn't Momoshiki's chakra inside of Kawaki anymore, since their memory said Kawaki was Momoshiki's vessel? Like, why is Naruto's son, someone who is not a cyborg, suddenly a cyborg? They probably questioned why the second coming of Minato can perform fire release when Minato's grandson never performed fire release. They probably questioned, why is this kid not able to make a Rasengan, but they just accepted it because that's how the Shinjutsu works. I don't doubt Sarada there. By the events of chapter 1, I still believe that Shikamaru was under the impression that Kawaki was who he said he was, which is Naruto's son, and that Boruto was the one who killed Naruto, and that Sarada was the one wilding out. I think he was very much being honest when he said, you defending Boruto like this is going to get you in trouble with the village itself, and you'll never be Hokage by doing this. The way that they communicate, I do think that Sarada put some seeds in his mind by comparing her sticking up for Boruto and Sasuke as being the same way that Naruto stuck up for Sasuke during all those interactions in part 2, and how Shikamaru back then was on the wrong side of history. I think that the seeds already been planted that, hey, maybe Sarada's onto something. You have to remember, they actually have a way to communicate that links Sarada and Sumire and Shikamaru that allows them to talk without Eida being made aware of it. So there would have to be no need to keep up a farce like that, because they already are telling a lie to Eida to make her think that Sarada and Sumire are under her control, when in reality they're immune to her control powers. What is one more lie on top of that, especially when it gives them peace of mind that they have another ally in Shikamaru, especially when there's a potential threat in Kawaki there. If Shikamaru knew that his mind was tampered with, if he even suspected his mind was tampered with, he could have called into question, asked if Kawaki and Eida were lying about Naruto's death, and he could have been communicating with Sarada and Sumire via the Yamanaka clan's hidden jutsu in order to establish all that information, but he's never done so. No, I don't think that he was aware of the possibility his mind was altered when he and Sarada got into that argument in chapter 1, but I do think the moment that Boruto showed up and began acting in a way that he did, where Boruto saving the people of Konoha, and Sarada is so adamant prior to this on defending Boruto, saying that there's more to the situation than met the eye, that Shikamaru needed to pause the execution order on Boruto long enough to speak to him. I think that's where we saw Eida, everything she said coming to fruition. New information has been dropped as a breadcrumb for Shikamaru to come to his own conclusion in a way that does not directly challenge the power of the Shinjutsu. In his mind, Boruto had no attachment to Konoha, especially now that Naruto had been killed. If anything, he would have every incentive to want to stay away from the village, maybe see the village destroyed since Naruto's not there anymore, or at the very least not get involved when Code attacked. Yet Boruto was providing cover, he was taking out claw grinds before they could harm people, he was moving the fight with Code away from the village with his attacks, forcing the fight into evacuated areas, and eventually got the fight itself outside the village. Shikamaru specifically warned everyone and ordered them, watch Boruto to try to determine his action. After all the chaos is done at the end of that last chapter, Shikamaru only had one person in the Hokage office, Kawaki, nobody else. And there was a lot to their conversation that happened off screen that we don't know, that has to be factored in before we had Sarada showing up to defend Boruto all over again, challenging Kawaki directly and telling Shikamaru that if he wants to verify everything Sarada is saying, he can actually check with Eida. Once Sarada started doing all that, that's when Kawaki started getting pissed. I think we're going to learn that Shikamaru is now at the very least getting around to considering Sarada's claims once he heard how Boruto acted during the attack, but now that he knows from Amado's own words that their memories have been tampered, I think all bets are off now. I do think Shikamaru is going to consider bringing Boruto in for a conversation now, because things are definitely getting to a boiling point where Shikamaru has to consider all options, because there are too many threats in front of him right now as Hokage, and he can't afford facing those threats without knowing everything, which leads to a bigger question. Do you guys think that Shikamaru will be told the truth that Naruto isn't dead, or will Boruto keep that information to himself so he can try to resolve things with Kawaki directly? If you haven't already, make sure to check out the chapter review that you see on the screen.